speeds on meandering. It's a very, very long stretch. It is a mile stretch from the base to Yale. And people see that stretch as a way to travel very quickly. And that's one of the biggest things we looked at in the design of this road. I've said it 1,000 times. I have no vested interest in this. I do not live in River Oaks, and I do not live on this intersection. But it is my job to stand up here and tell you that the traffic engineering community is giving you a safer option. So please do not make a decision arguing against the traffic engineering community, no sooner than you would argue against your auditors or your emergency response people or all your professionals in the world.
Now, 3 years ago, we were told that the roundabout and the red light were both safe options. That was stated.
They are all safe options.
There's also a distinction between what's safer for people in the car versus what's safer for pedestrians.
They are all safe options. We have stop signs and traffic signals everywhere.
And I don't see when we look at this right now, when we've got somebody going east as fast as you're talking about on Meandering, and they start to turn, if they're going too fast on this and then they turn at the last second, they're going to wind up in their front yard. And if they're going too fast to the west and they turn, they're going to wind up either in Darren's building or they're going to wind up in Hugh's house.
I can't speak to all the scenarios of reckless driving. I mean, all those things could happen in a four-way stop. All those things can happen in a light. I just have, as a professional doing my job, I have to make sure that you understand they're all safe. But for this particular location, and I trust the engineers, I wouldn't be standing if I didn't, they all believe this to be the safest option. It is not safe. And you're going to really insult a lot of people, and I'm trying the best I can to stand up here at this podium and represent that engineers are designing something that is not safe, because this is a safe option. Now, let's go back to what happens when we move the road. One thing we cannot allow to have happen, and it's very likely, if I'm Mr. Howe, and we believe as close to that structure as a realignment would take that you're talking about, we're potentially opening ourselves up to a lawsuit for damages to his property, which could be very substantial. He may even argue that we would have to acquire his property if we put this road so close to the front door of his business that it's not feasible.
The Galleon's house is already so close that if you put a roundabout by that house, I don't even know what it's worth now.
Mayor,
but you've slashed what their house is worth if you put a roundabout.
Mayor, I testify, I don't believe that to be the case. I don't think there's anything we're doing in this road, on this road, roundabout or not, that is going to devalue the property, because we are going to slow the traffic down, and we are going to make the road safer.
Okay.
And never in the history of my experience of 40 years of doing this has a safer road or a slower road devalued anyone's property. The distance to their house on that map is much, much further than what you would be talking about with Mr. Howe. We would literally be talking about a couple feet. And I know so, is there a pointer here?
When did this road become, what point in time did this intersection become so extremely dangerous? Do we know that? Is there a point why this was?
You always ask, because even before their house was there, when Earl Burrow
I've been here since I was 11.
When Earl Burrow had that house and theirs was just a vacant lot, and he was always talking about cars winding up in his lot.
Is it any different than any other intersection?
Any intersection is dangerous.
Well,
It is, all of it. And you did tell us, I mean, it's turning personal. It seems like it's turning personal from this gentleman, wanting to apologize for the time that you spent. But you plainly told us that a job like this, if you took a job like this, that it would last your whole entire career, working career. So we've actually given you a job.
I wish that's... There are 200 other jobs that Chad is stop, no, I've nothing to do with that. But let me just say this.
Can I have 1 second, because I have a grandbaby and I need to get home.
You can, ma'am.
Thank you so much. My name is Tracy Goldman, I live on 4820 Red Oak. I don't live on Meandering, but I did go to the town meeting last week, and I left that meeting thinking that we were moving forward with this project, beginning in the fall of next year, I believe. And then I had now I'm getting nervous. And then, thank you. And then, I had a little get-together at my house last night, and I don't want to speak for anybody, but there was a woman that was there that lives on Meandering and was excited about this project. And so I'm a little confused as to how we got here tonight. And that was a lot of people don't look at the agenda, so there's a lot of people that aren't here tonight that you're about to make a vote on, that their voices aren't being heard again. But they were at the meeting last time, at the town hall meeting, where their voices were heard. And so I'm just a little confused how we got here tonight, and how we're fighting with each other and not representing ourselves well. And I'd like us to tone that down a little bit. So I'm just a little confused on how we're here right now. See, I'm getting nervous, I can't even talk.
When we had the update 4 weeks ago, and thank you for your comments, when we had the update 4 weeks ago, and there were several people in here were not happy about it, but they did want some answers, and we gave them an opportunity to ask questions, we gave them an opportunity to answer them, we had the town hall, and this is us, ultimately, we're not just going to sit this to the side and say, well, we agreed to it 3 years ago. At the end of the day, this council needs to determine, with what it's heard in the last month, if they want to continue with this or change it, and that's all.
And I think that's the challenge that you have, is that you have to listen to all of the community, and not just a few voices, and I think that that's hard for you, that you're going to have to make that decision, but ultimately, you are accountable for this decision to make, and I know you don't take that lightly. But I do think that you have to think about all of the voices. And I know we're being good neighbors to everybody on Meandering Road. We're being fair to them. Hopefully you're paying them a lot of money to encroach on their properties, and not to where
they're not getting, most of them aren't going to get anything.
For the most part.
Right of way, first 10 foot.
We'll give them some money so they can move into a bigger and better place. And then, just a little confused that I thought we were going down hill and now we're not. So, that's just my 2 cents worth. And, just remember that, that we're all neighbors.
Absolutely.
And to be good neighbors, even to the federal government.
Any right of way that we acquire will be paid for.
And thank you.
There's no free.
I think what John's saying is, for the most part on Meandering, you're not acquiring right-of-way, you would be using existing right-of-way, so people would, which is fair, they sold that right-of-way, or their predecessors did 60 years ago, but
They won't get paid.
You're gonna buy further back in their yard, but they won't get paid for it because it's existing right-of-way. So the 4 people here, and maybe a few others here and there, are gonna have right-of-way acquired, but for the most part...
There is no other right-of-way acquisition.
Right, so it's just that disconnect between people that don't sort of work in government all the time of thinking, they think that what's at their curb is theirs, and in reality, in some cases, you will be moving further back in their yards. That's not right.
Yeah.
Or that is right.
Yeah, by the way, if you went at the public meeting, there's paint out on the streets. We are showing exactly where the sidewalks, the main lanes are on Meandering. So, Joe, can you go back to the slide that showed the Meandering? We spent a lot of time on this since the public meeting. Okay, go back. All right, couple things. Now, Mayor, not to be argumentative, but if we move this street here to a line further here, I think we're going to be much closer to Darren's property than we are here now. Now, there's a parking area that we have offered to Darren as part of the project we will pay for, which he wants, because he's going to lose parking here. So if we move the street there, he's going to lose that parking area, and he has big plans for everything he wants to do. He's got another building there. He said, okay, Councilman, we will do everything we can to provide you